Hey everybody, I am going to be walking you through how to calculate your required minimum distribution or RMDs from your retirement account for 2025. Before we dive in, please take a minute and check out the link you see on your screen, fool.com/mattf. This video is sponsored by the Motley Fool, and stay tuned later in the video. You're going to hear how retirees can be missing out on as much as $23,000 in Social Security benefits every year. Again, the link is fool.com/mattf, and I'll put that in the description of this video as well. So let's get right into it. I'm going to share my screen real quick. All right, so recently the RMD age has changed. It was 70 and a half years old for the longest time, and now as part of the Secure Act 2.0, RMDs, they don't have to start until you're 73 years old. So important to know, if you're only 71 or 72, you don't have to take an RMD this year. But when do you have to take your first one? Your first distribution needs to be taken by April 1st on the year after you turn 73. So if you turn 73 in 2025, you technically don't have to take any money out of your account until April 1st of 2026. After that, subsequent RMDs have to be taken by the end of the calendar year. So the one for when you're 74 next year would need to be taken out by December 31st, 2026, and so on and so on and so on. I would say be careful when it comes to waiting as long as possible to take the first one. I mentioned you don't have to take your first one till April 1st on the year after you turn 73. But if you do that, you're going to end up having two RMDs in the same calendar year, taking one in April 1st, 2026, for example, and then another one because you turned 74 by the end of that year. So be careful when it comes to delaying your first RMD to the next calendar year. Keep that in mind. It could have big tax implications. You double the taxable income. So just a couple things to know before we really dive in. RMDs apply to all tax-deferred accounts. That includes traditional IRAs, 401k, 403b, 457b, and thrift savings plan accounts. Any type of Roth-style accounts, including those above, do not have the RMD rule. So a Roth IRA, if you have a Roth 401k, which more employers are offering these days, those don't have the RMD rule. It's only tax-deferred accounts. The IRS wants to get their taxes, and with a Roth account, you've already paid them, so it's not going to get a dime out of your Roth accounts. But if you have traditional or tax-deferred accounts, keep in mind that those do have the RMD requirement. So how to take your RMD, and this is a question I get asked very often as a financial planner. If you have more than one IRA, it doesn't matter which accounts you take your money from. If you have to take a total of $20,000, you could take it from any combination of the accounts or from just one of them. The same applies if you have more than one 403b account. However, there is a rule that says if you have a 401k, a 457b, or any other type of retirement account that requires an RMD, you have to take a separate RMD from each individual account. Even if you have, say, 5 401ks from old employers, you would have to take an RMD and calculate and take an RMD from each of those 5 accounts. So keep that in mind just to answer a common question. So here's how you calculate your RMD in 2025. You're going to start with your account balance as of December 31st of the previous year. So for the one you're going to take in 2025, this would be your balance as of December 31st, 2024, at the end of the trading day. So you're going to divide that balance by the appropriate life expectancy factor in the IRS table that applies to you. I'll get into that more in a second. But the key takeaway is that most people use what's called the uniform distribution or the uniform lifetime table. This has a list of factors based on your age. So your RMD is going to be different depending on how old you are. You'll use a different table. There's another IRS table to use if your spouse is over 10 years younger than you and is your sole beneficiary of your retirement accounts. So if that's the case, you would use a different account or a different table with different factors. But for most people watching this, the uniform lifetime table is going to be the one you use. And here's what it looks like. I know this is very small print, but I'll read the important parts. So on the left-hand column, it's a list of ages, 72, 73, 74, 75, and so on. And on the right is a distribution period, which is also referred to as a life expectancy factor. So The example we're about to look at, I'm going to do an example of someone who's 75 years old. So you would look at your distribution period of 24.6, and that would be the number you're going to divide your balance by. So here's an example. Let's say that you had $500,000 in your 401k as of December 31st, 2024, and that you are turning 75 years old in 2025. As I just mentioned, that life expectancy factor in the table is 24.6. Dividing $500,000, which was your balance, by 24.6 gives you an RMD for this year of $20,325. Now, this can be taken all at once in a lump sum, or it can be taken throughout the year if you want to divide it into, say, biweekly payments or something like that to be an income. That's fine too, as long as that amount or more is taken out by the end of the year. Make sure that you do take your RMDs. There are big penalties for not doing it. The penalty for not taking your RMD by the due date is 25% of the amount that you did not withdraw, but there are two big asterisks to mention here. So this is reduced to 10% if you correct the error within 2 years. So if you retroactively withdraw your RMD within 2 years of when you were supposed to, the penalty goes down to 10%. And the penalty can actually be waived if it was the result of a so-called reasonable error, and you file this a certain IRS form and give a letter of explanation. I have no idea how successful people are with getting this done, but if you do mess up, it's worth looking into, especially if it was an honest mistake. Say I don't know, you thought the RMD age was 75, not 73, something like that could be maybe a reasonable error in the eyes of the IRS. I don't know, not personal financial advice. So hopefully you found that useful and informative. Do me a favor, leave me any comments or questions you have. I'll do my best to answer any of them individually. Stay tuned right now for a message from my sponsor, The Motley Fool, about how to get even more money out of Social Security. And thanks for listening. Here's an interesting fact. Most retirees don't realize they could be missing out on nearly $23,000 in extra Social Security benefits every single year. The truth is, Social Security has hidden strategies that can help you maximize your retirement income, but most people never take advantage of them. Luckily, our sponsor, The Motley Fool, has got you covered so you don't make that mistake. If you want to boost your benefits and retire with more confidence, go to fool.com/MattF right now to learn how.